In this video, we'll cover the first set of questions in the audit called general questions. The general questions will be both broad and specific, with questions like, are employees and visitors following good hygiene and sanitation practices, and are readily understandable signs posted instructing employees to wash hands. Although farms may choose which scopes of a gap audit they want to include, and this may be based on their buyer specifications, the general questions will always be a part of an audit. Keep in mind, scope and part are used interchangeably and simply denote different portions of the audit. General Question 1, or G1, asks about traceability. There are questions about traceability in subsequent scopes as well, and an auditor may wait to look more closely at traceability until later in the audit, or they may want to get into the details at this point. This is the case with many of the questions in General Questions section. Think of your food safety system like a ball of yarn. An auditor will pull on a thread, and if the food safety system seems coherent and functioning, they won't necessarily go into greater detail. If things are less organized, the auditor may keep pulling on that thread by asking more questions to ensure you understand and have addressed the relevant concerns. If the auditor asks about traceability, they may want to see your lot code system clearly labeled on boxes of produce. They may also ask about a mock recall to see if you've checked the efficacy of your traceability protocol. Keep in mind, the first year of GAP certification, a mock recall isn't mandatory, but you should perform a mock recall as soon as possible. The auditor may want to see copies of a water test from a lab showing microbial levels in both irrigation and post-harvest water. You and your employees might be asked about food safety training as well. For these questions, in addition to having the knowledge on hand, training logs will show the auditor when individuals were trained. Workers should have a clear sense of sanitation and hygiene, hand washing, use of toilet facilities, break areas, illness and injury protocol, and application of regulated and non-regulated materials. One of the food safety concerns you will need to address is how you handle visitors. There is a question about visitors in the general questions section. Let's take a look at how two operations address visitors on their farm. So Dylan, the other thing I wanted to check in with you about is I saw your visitor policy and your food safety plan where you have the specific training that you provide to visitors, but I also saw in there that you occasionally have school groups come out to do tours, and I'm curious how you deal with that big group of people all at once coming and a bunch of kids running around.
Yep, so we've had tours over 75 people at a time, and so rather than training every single person individually, we do a group training and consider that in our records as one group, not all of the people in that group.
And then are you going to keep the kids out of the fields, or how does that work?
Yeah, we've basically been doing, for most of our tours, it's kind of a perimeter walk, pointing out and discussing things, and if we do have the kids do anything, it's something on the edge of the fields, and we know that we just aren't going to be harvesting from that area.
So there's a specific area where they can be in there, and then you don't actually have to worry about the food safety because that's not even harvested.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly.
Great. Sounds good. So Tom, I was hoping to just clarify what your visitor policies were in terms of folks coming onto the farm to buy fruit, how that works, and how you keep them separate from the production area and maintain food safety there.
Okay, what we wrote into our plan was that the people could drive up here and the coolers and over there in the garage, and they can drive up and be around the cabin and the cooler area and buy fruit without having to register as a visitor, and they don't go into the orchard, and we're pretty strict about letting people wander around in the orchard.
Okay, great. And I'm also just noticing how big the property is, and I'm wondering how you are able to monitor the perimeter in terms of wildlife coming in and out. Do you check your fences regularly? How does that work?
Well, when we drive in, you can pretty much see all the fence there is, and occasionally deer get in here, and we try to chase them out. But we also have the benefit that nothing we grow here is on the ground. Mm-hmm. Everything is off the ground, and if anything touches the ground, it is not packed or used.
Yep. And I'm trying to remember, do you have any sort of policies about how the ladders are used in terms of the relationship to the tree? Are they not put through the tree at all? Or I've seen that in some orchards, but...
We put them through the trees sometimes. But the way most of our trees are, you can kind of put them next to the tree without getting in there.
Okay, so most of the time there's no concern about anything from the ground ending up on the tree from the ladders at all.
Yeah.
Great. That concludes our general questions section. To review, we mentioned that the general questions will be included in every audit, regardless of the scopes you choose to audit. The questions may be broad or specific, and address various issues around the farm.